Good morning, everyone. Let me start with a question. When was the last time you felt truly at peace, not just a fleeting moment of calm, but a deep, lasting sense of ease? If that feels hard to recall, you're not alone. Inner peace isn't something that magically appears, it's something we actively create. Inner peace is a concept that often feels elusive, especially in today's fast-paced world. But before we dive into how to attain it, we must first understand what it truly means. Inner peace is not about the absence of problems or challenges. It is about maintaining a sense of calm and centeredness, even as life swirls around us. It is a state of being where our mind is not consumed by endless worries, our emotions are not dictated by external chaos, and our heart feels steady despite the unpredictability of the world. At its core, inner peace is deeply personal and unique to each individual. For some, it might be the ability to sit quietly and enjoy a moment of solitude without feeling guilty or restless. For others, it might be the confidence to face life's challenges without losing their composure. What unites all these experiences is a sense of harmony, a feeling that despite imperfections and uncertainties, everything will be okay. To achieve inner peace, we must first let go of the idea that it is a constant, unbroken state. Life is dynamic, and so are we. There will be moments when peace feels distant, and that's not a failure. It's part of being human. Inner peace is more like a compass than a destination. It guides us back to ourselves when we feel lost, reminding us that no matter how turbulent the external world may be, we can find calm within. One of the greatest barriers to inner peace is the pressure to meet societal expectations. We are constantly bombarded with messages that equate our worth with our productivity, achievements, or the approval of others. This creates a cycle of striving and self-doubt, making it nearly impossible to feel at ease. True inner peace begins when we challenge these narratives and allow ourselves to exist as we are without the need for external validation. Another essential aspect of understanding inner peace is recognizing that it coexists with life's difficulties. It's not about escaping pain or discomfort, but about learning to navigate them without being overwhelmed. This requires a shift in perspective from seeing challenges as threats to viewing them as opportunities for growth. It's in the moments when we choose to stay grounded, even when circumstances are tough, that we strengthen our ability to cultivate peace. Ultimately, inner peace is a practice. It asks us to be patient with ourselves, to embrace our humanity, and to trust that we have the capacity to create calm amidst the chaos. By redefining what peace looks like and learning to nurture it in small, intentional ways, we can make it a steady presence in our lives. Vulnerability is often misunderstood, dismissed as a sign of weakness or something to be avoided at all costs. Yet, it is one of the most powerful and transformative aspects of the human experience, especially when it comes to finding inner peace. To understand why vulnerability is so critical, we must first recognize that peace isn't about avoiding pain or discomfort. It's about embracing life in its entirety, including the difficult parts. Vulnerability allows us to do just that. It invites us to confront our fears, insecurities, and struggles with honesty and courage. Many of us spend a significant amount of time and energy trying to shield ourselves from vulnerability. We build walls, put on masks, and project images of perfection in the hope of protecting ourselves from rejection, failure, or criticism. But these defenses, while seemingly effective in the short term, often leave us feeling isolated and disconnected not just from others, but from ourselves. True inner peace cannot coexist with a constant need to prove or protect. It requires authenticity, and authenticity demands vulnerability. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open the door to deeper self-awareness. Vulnerability asks us to sit with our emotions, even when they're uncomfortable. It pushes us to examine the parts of ourselves that we might prefer to ignore: our fears, our mistakes, our unmet needs. In doing so, we gain a clearer understanding of who we are and what truly matters to us. This clarity is a cornerstone of inner peace because it allows us to live in alignment with our values and let go of the things that don't serve us. Vulnerability also strengthens our connections with others, and these connections are vital to our sense of peace. When we share our struggles, fears, and dreams with the people we trust, we create opportunities for empathy, understanding, and support. These moments remind us that we are not alone in our experiences and that it's okay to lean on others. At the same time, being vulnerable with others can inspire them to do the same, fostering relationships built on mutual respect and compassion. It's important to note that vulnerability doesn't mean exposing yourself indiscriminately or without boundaries. It's about being honest and open in ways that feel safe and meaningful. It's about showing up as your true self, even when it feels risky. Over time, this practice builds resilience and self-acceptance, which are essential for sustaining inner peace. Ultimately, vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's a reminder that peace doesn't come from hiding or avoiding, but from embracing our humanity in all its complexity. Self-awareness is the foundation of inner peace because it provides the clarity needed to navigate life with intention rather than reaction. Without self-awareness, we can find ourselves caught in patterns of behavior or thought that lead to frustration, stress, or dissatisfaction, often without understanding why. When we take the time to know ourselves, our values, emotions, triggers, and motivations, we gain the ability to make choices that align with who we truly are. This alignment is where peace begins. Developing self-awareness requires us to slow down and pay attention. In a world that constantly demands our attention and pushes us to keep moving, it can feel counterintuitive to pause and reflect. Yet, those moments of introspection are where the magic happens. They allow us to step back from the noise and ask important questions. What truly matters to me? What brings me joy? What makes me feel anxious or unsettled? By answering these questions honestly, we begin to understand ourselves on a deeper level. One of the most valuable tools for cultivating self-awareness is the practice of noticing our emotions. Emotions are not just fleeting feelings, they are signals that provide insight into our internal world. For example, anger might point to a boundary being crossed, while sadness could reveal a sense of loss or unmet needs. By observing our emotions without judgment, we can begin to understand what they are trying to tell us. This process helps us respond to situations thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively, which is crucial for maintaining inner peace. Another aspect of self-awareness is recognizing our patterns of thought and behavior. We all have habits, some conscious, some unconscious, that shape how we interact with the world. Maybe we tend to avoid conflict, or perhaps we're quick to criticize ourselves when things go wrong. These patterns often stem from past experiences or deeply held beliefs. When we take the time to identify and question them, we create the opportunity for change. It's also important to acknowledge that self-awareness is a lifelong journey. As we grow and encounter new experiences, our understanding of ourselves evolves. There will always be new layers to uncover and new insights to gain. This is not a sign of failure, but a testament to the richness of the human experience. Ultimately, self-awareness is about cultivating a relationship with ourselves. It's about becoming our own ally, learning to listen to our inner voice, and trusting our intuition. When we know ourselves well, we can move through life with a sense of confidence and authenticity, which are key ingredients for lasting inner peace. Setting boundaries is an essential practice for attaining inner peace because it allows us to protect our energy, time, and emotional well-being. Without boundaries, we risk becoming overextended, overwhelmed, or resentful as we prioritize the needs of others over our own. Healthy boundaries are not about shutting people out or creating distance. Rather, they are about defining where we end and others begin, ensuring that our relationships and interactions are rooted in mutual respect and understanding. For many, the idea of setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable or even selfish. We may fear disappointing others, damaging relationships, or being perceived as unkind. However, boundaries are not acts of selfishness, they are acts of self-respect. They communicate to others how we wish to be treated and what we need to feel safe, valued, and whole. More importantly, they teach us to honor our own needs, which is a cornerstone of inner peace. The first step in setting boundaries is understanding what we need. This requires self-awareness and a willingness to listen to our emotions. For example, if we feel drained after spending time with certain people or engaging in certain activities, it might be a sign that our boundaries are being crossed. Recognizing these moments gives us the opportunity to reflect on what changes are necessary to restore balance. Once we've identified our needs, the next step is communicating them clearly and respectfully. This can be challenging, especially if we're not used to asserting ourselves. However, effective communication is key to establishing boundaries that are understood and respected. It's helpful to frame our boundaries in terms of our feelings and needs rather than blaming or criticizing others. For instance, saying, I need some time to recharge after work, so I won't be available for calls in the evening, is more constructive than saying, you're always bothering me when I'm tired. Of course, setting boundaries is not a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. People may test or unintentionally cross our boundaries, and when this happens, it's important to reaffirm them with consistency. This not only reinforces the boundary, but also builds our confidence in maintaining it. Another crucial aspect of boundary setting is recognizing that it's okay to say no. Saying no to things that don't align with our values or drain our energy creates space for the things that truly matter. It's an act of prioritizing our well-being, which ultimately benefits everyone around us. By setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, we create a life that supports our peace rather than detracts from it. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to healthier relationships, greater self-respect, and a more centered, peaceful existence. Embracing imperfection is a profound step toward attaining inner peace because it liberates us from the constant pressure to meet unattainable standards. Many of us live under the illusion that we must always have it together, that mistakes are unacceptable, and that being flawless is the key to acceptance and success. This mindset creates a relentless cycle of striving and self-criticism, leaving little room for peace. Letting go of the need for perfection is not about lowering standards or giving up on growth. It's about recognizing that our worth is not tied to being flawless and that imperfection is a natural, beautiful part of life. At the heart of this shift is the understanding that perfection is an illusion. No matter how hard we try, we will never achieve a state of absolute flawlessness. There will always be moments when we stumble, when things don't go as planned, or when we fall short of our expectations. These moments do not define us, they are simply part of the human experience. By accepting this reality, we can free ourselves from the exhausting pursuit of perfection and redirect our energy toward what truly matters: authenticity, connection, and growth. Embracing imperfection also allows us to approach ourselves with greater compassion. When we stop judging ourselves harshly for every misstep or flaw, we create space for self-acceptance. This doesn't mean ignoring areas where we want to improve, but it does mean approaching those areas with kindness rather than criticism. For example, instead of berating ourselves for not meeting a goal, we can acknowledge the effort we put in and reflect on what we can learn from the experience. This shift in perspective fosters resilience and self-trust, both of which are essential for inner peace. Another benefit of embracing imperfection is that it deepens our relationships with others. When we allow ourselves to be seen as we truly are flaws, and all we invite others to do the same. This authenticity creates connections built on trust and understanding rather than pretense or fear of judgment. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles and that imperfection is a shared aspect of the human journey. Finally, letting go of perfectionism opens the door to joy. When we are no longer fixated on achieving an ideal, we can fully appreciate the beauty and richness of life as it is. We notice the small, meaningful moments that might otherwise go unnoticed and find contentment in the present. By embracing imperfection, we honor our humanity and create a foundation for true inner peace. It's a courageous act of self-love, a declaration that we are enough exactly as we are. Gratitude is one of the most transformative practices for cultivating inner peace because it shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have. In a world that constantly reminds us of what we're missing, whether it's material possessions, achievements, or ideal circumstances, it's easy to fall into a mindset of scarcity. Gratitude counteracts this by helping us see the abundance already present in our lives, no matter how small or ordinary it may seem. It teaches us to pause, reflect, and appreciate the gifts that surround us, even amid challenges. The power of gratitude lies in its ability to rewire our perspective. When we actively practice gratitude, we train our minds to look for the positive aspects of our experiences. This doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending that everything is perfect. It means acknowledging that even in the hardest moments, there are things to be thankful for. Perhaps it's the support of a friend, a moment of quiet after a busy day, or the simple pleasure of a warm cup of tea. These small acts of appreciation accumulate, creating a sense of peace and contentment that permeates our daily lives. Gratitude also fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable, but when we approach difficulties with a grateful heart, we are better equipped to navigate them. Gratitude reminds us that even when things are tough, there is still goodness to be found. This perspective doesn't erase pain or hardship, but it provides balance, helping us stay grounded and hopeful. A key aspect of gratitude is that it requires us to be present. When we take time to notice and appreciate the blessings in our lives, we are fully engaging with the present moment. This mindfulness not only enhances our sense of peace, but also deepens our connection to the world around us. It allows us to savor life's fleeting moments and recognize their significance, rather than rushing past them in pursuit of the next goal or milestone. Gratitude is also a powerful tool for building stronger relationships. When we express gratitude to others, we strengthen our bonds and create a sense of mutual appreciation. Whether it's thanking someone for their kindness, acknowledging their efforts, or simply letting them know they are valued, these acts of gratitude foster connection and positivity. Incorporating gratitude into our lives doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as keeping a journal where we jot down 3 things we're thankful for each day, taking a moment to reflect before meals, or sharing our appreciation with loved ones. These small, consistent practices have the power to transform our mindset and cultivate a lasting sense of peace. By practicing gratitude, we shift our focus from what's missing to what's present, from lack to abundance, and from discontent to joy. It is a simple yet profound act that nurtures inner peace and reminds us of the beauty in the everyday. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for achieving inner peace because it anchors us in the present moment, allowing us to experience life as it unfolds rather than getting lost in worries about the past or future. In today's fast-paced and often overwhelming world, our minds are frequently pulled in multiple directions, leaving us feeling scattered and disconnected. Mindfulness offers a way to bring our attention back to the here and now, creating a sense of calm and clarity that is essential for inner peace. At its core, mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment with curiosity and without judgment. It's about noticing what is happening around us and within us, the sights, sounds, sensations, thoughts, and emotions without trying to change or escape them. This simple act of awareness can be surprisingly transformative. By focusing on the present, we create a space where we can respond to life's challenges with intention rather than reacting impulsively. One of the most accessible ways to practice mindfulness is through our breath. The breath is always with us, a constant anchor to the present moment. When we feel overwhelmed or anxious, taking a few deep, intentional breaths can help ground us and bring our attention back to what's real and immediate. This practice doesn't require a specific setting or significant time commitment. It can be done anywhere, whether we're at work, stuck in traffic, or lying in bed. Mindfulness also invites us to let go of judgment, both of ourselves and our experiences. Often we get caught up in labeling things as good or bad, which can create stress and resistance. Mindfulness teaches us to observe without attaching these labels, allowing us to accept things as they are. For instance, if we're feeling frustrated, mindfulness encourages us to acknowledge the frustration without fighting it or feeling guilty about it. This acceptance creates a sense of ease and helps us move through challenging emotions more gracefully. Beyond individual moments, mindfulness has a cumulative effect. Regular practice can improve our ability to stay present even in difficult situations. It can help us notice the beauty in everyday life, a bird singing outside the window, the warmth of sunlight on our skin, or the laughter of a friend. These small moments of joy, when fully experienced, contribute to a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. Incorporating mindfulness into daily life doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as setting aside a few minutes each day for quiet reflection, practicing mindful eating by savoring each bite of a meal, or taking a moment to pause and notice our surroundings. These small, consistent practices help us build a habit of presence, leading to greater inner peace over time. Ultimately, mindfulness is not about escaping life's challenges, but about meeting them with a calm, focused, and compassionate mindset. It is a way of being that allows us to fully inhabit our lives, finding peace not in perfection, but in presence. Forgiveness is a critical practice for attaining inner peace because it frees us from the grip of past hurts, resentment, and anger, allowing us to move forward with a lighter heart. Holding on to grudges and unforgiveness is like carrying a heavy burden that weighs us down emotionally, mentally, and even physically. These negative emotions can cloud our judgment, affect our relationships, and prevent us from experiencing peace in the present moment. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is an act of liberation. It is not about condoning harmful behavior or forgetting the pain. Rather, it is about releasing the hold that the past has over us, creating space for healing and peace. One of the most common misconceptions about forgiveness is that it is a gift we give to others. In reality, forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. When we choose to forgive, we are not doing it for the person who wronged us, but for our own well-being. Carrying anger or resentment keeps us tethered to the past, preventing us from fully embracing the present. Forgiveness, in this sense, is an act of self-care. It allows us to reclaim our energy and emotional health, freeing us from the power that our pain holds over us. Forgiveness does not mean excusing or minimizing the hurt that was caused. It's important to acknowledge the pain and validate our feelings. This is a crucial step in the healing process. However, forgiveness is about choosing not to let that pain dictate our lives. It's about finding peace in the face of injustice and refusing to let anger or resentment control our emotional state. This decision does not happen overnight. It is a process, one that requires time, reflection, and often a great deal of self-compassion. In some cases, forgiveness can also involve forgiving ourselves. Many of us hold on to guilt or regret for past mistakes, believing that we are unworthy of peace until we make things right. However, self-forgiveness is an essential part of healing. It's about acknowledging that we are human, and like everyone else, we make mistakes. It's a process of accepting that we did the best we could with the knowledge and resources we had at the time, and that we can learn and grow from our experiences. Forgiveness is not always easy, especially when the wounds are deep or the person who caused the harm is not willing to acknowledge their actions. However, even in these situations, we can still choose to release the anger and resentment that keep us stuck. This doesn't mean we forget the hurt or allow harmful behavior to continue. Rather, it means we refuse to let it control our peace. By embracing forgiveness, we create space for healing, growth, and inner peace. It is a powerful act of self-liberation that allows us to move beyond the pain of the past and embrace the present with an open heart. Acceptance is a vital component of inner peace because it allows us to embrace life as it is, without constantly fighting against the reality of our circumstances. So often, we resist the things we cannot change, whether it's the behavior of others, our past experiences, or the unpredictability of life itself. This resistance creates internal conflict, draining our energy and preventing us from experiencing peace. Acceptance, however, is about surrendering to what is and letting go of the need to control or fix everything. It doesn't mean that we resign ourselves to a life of complacency or inaction. Instead, it's about acknowledging the present moment and making peace with it, even if it's imperfect or uncomfortable. The practice of acceptance begins with recognizing that there are many things beyond our control. We cannot change the past, and we cannot always predict or control what happens in the future. Life is full of uncertainties and challenges, and fighting against them only causes more stress. By accepting the things we cannot change, we stop wasting energy on resistance, which allows us to focus on what we can control: our reactions, choices, and mindset. This shift is liberating because it frees us from the burden of trying to make everything perfect or fit our expectations. Acceptance also involves letting go of the need for constant approval or validation from others. When we constantly seek others' approval, we give away our peace. We are placing our happiness and self-worth in the hands of people who may not fully understand us or appreciate us in the ways we need. Acceptance means recognizing that our value does not depend on external approval. It comes from within. It's about being at peace with who we are, regardless of how others perceive us. Another important aspect of acceptance is acknowledging our own limitations. We are not perfect, and we cannot do everything. By accepting our own flaws and limitations, we stop pushing ourselves beyond our boundaries, which can lead to burnout or self-criticism. This self-acceptance is crucial because it allows us to give ourselves the grace and compassion we often extend to others. It also allows us to focus on our strengths and work on personal growth without the weight of unrealistic expectations. Acceptance also allows us to make peace with difficult emotions. Many of us are taught to resist or suppress negative emotions like sadness, anger, fear. But these emotions are natural and valid parts of the human experience. Acceptance involves feeling these emotions fully without judgment and allowing them to move through us. By accepting our emotions as they are, we can process them more effectively, leading to emotional resilience and peace. Ultimately, acceptance is about making peace with life's uncertainties and imperfections. It is an act of wisdom that frees us from the constant need for control and helps us embrace the present moment with openness and grace. By practicing acceptance, we cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace, one that is not dependent on external circumstances, but on our ability to live fully in the here and now. Self-compassion is a cornerstone of inner peace because it allows us to treat ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and patience that we often extend to others. Many of us are quick to offer support and encouragement to our friends, family, and loved ones, but when it comes to ourselves, we are often our own harshest critics. We berate ourselves for mistakes, hold ourselves to unrealistic standards, and believe that we must be perfect in order to be worthy of love and happiness. This constant self-criticism undermines our peace and self-worth. Self-compassion, however, offers a path out of this cycle. It encourages us to treat ourselves with warmth and care, especially during difficult times. Practicing self-compassion begins with recognizing our shared humanity. It's easy to feel isolated in our struggles, believing that we are the only ones who experience failure, pain, or imperfection. However, everyone goes through difficult times. This is part of being human. By acknowledging that we are not alone in our suffering, we can soften our judgment of ourselves and extend the same compassion to ourselves that we would offer to a friend in need. This shift in perspective creates space for peace, as it allows us to stop viewing ourselves as failures or burdens and instead see ourselves as deserving of care and kindness. Self-compassion also involves mindfulness, the practice of being aware of our emotions without judgment. When we experience difficult emotions like sadness, frustration, or fear, it's easy to push them away or try to ignore them. But these emotions are valid, and pushing them aside only prolongs our suffering. Self-compassion asks us to sit with these emotions, acknowledge them without judgment, and offer ourselves comfort in the same way we would comfort a loved one. For example, instead of criticizing ourselves for feeling overwhelmed, we might say, "It's okay to feel this way. I'm doing the best I can right now." This simple act of self-kindness helps us navigate difficult emotions with more ease and acceptance. Another key aspect of self-compassion is forgiving ourselves for past mistakes. We all make mistakes, and while they can offer valuable lessons, they do not define us. Holding on to regret or guilt only creates internal conflict and prevents us from moving forward. Self-compassion involves recognizing that we are all imperfect and that mistakes are opportunities for growth, not evidence of our inadequacy. By forgiving ourselves, we release the grip of past mistakes and open ourselves to the possibility of healing and change. Finally, self-compassion encourages us to set healthy boundaries and prioritize our well-being. Often, we neglect our own needs in favor of others, believing that we must always put others first. While kindness to others is important, it should not come at the expense of our own peace. By setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and taking time for self-care, we honor our own and create a space for inner peace. Ultimately, self-compassion is about recognizing our inherent worth and treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially in times of difficulty. It is not about perfection or avoiding mistakes, but about offering ourselves grace and patience as we navigate life's challenges. By cultivating self-compassion, we nurture a sense of inner peace that is resilient, grounded, and compassionate. In conclusion, the journey toward inner peace is a deeply personal and transformative one. It requires us to embrace practices that nurture our well-being and create space for healing, growth, and acceptance. Through self-compassion, forgiveness, mindfulness, gratitude, setting healthy boundaries, and embracing imperfection, we can release the tension and struggles that often hold us back from living fully in the present moment. By choosing to live with intention and awareness, we shift our focus from external circumstances to the peace that resides within us. Inner peace is not something we must search for externally, but something we can cultivate from within, one thoughtful step at a time. When we accept ourselves, our experiences, and the world around us as they are, we free ourselves to experience life in its fullest, most authentic form. It's a journey that requires patience, practice, and a deep trust in our own capacity to heal and grow. The more we embody these practices, the more we create a life that is grounded in peace, balance, and serenity, something that is available to all of us right here, right now. So as you leave today, I invite you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's one small step I can take toward peace? It's not a destination, it's a practice. And it starts with you. Thank you.